Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to show you the results of an experiment I did. Alrighty. Do you know why they tell you to store beans and rice in prepper pantries? Because beans and rice together make complete proteins. Beans have incomplete amino acid chains, and rice has incomplete amino acid chains. To have protein for our body to assimilate, we have to have complete amino acid chains. Our body will not store incomplete chains and wait to put those parts together. You have to consume them at the same time. So rice and beans kind of go together. Peanut butter jelly and peanut butter and whole wheat bread, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The amino acids in the peanuts complement the amino acids in the wheat bread, and together, peanut butter is pretty good protein by itself, but with wheat bread, it really complements it and makes it even more accessible to our bodies. Anyway, I don't think I can grow rice, but I can sure as hell grow beans. So I wanted to check into the various types of beans that I could grow in the location that I'm in. So I started looking at seed, and bean seed is expensive. And then I got to thinking, you know, a whole bag of beans at the grocery store is not very much money, and that's a lot of seed if that seed was viable. So I thought, I'm going to do an experiment. First photo here is 3 bags of seed. You have flor de mayo, you have negro or black beans, and you have peruano, which is the most common bean used for like refried type beans in the area where I am, okay? Most people use pinto beans, but you know, here, these are very popular. Anyway, the flor de mayo is a type of pinto. When you look at them up closer, you'll see. So I thought, now if we could just buy a bag of beans at the store and use those for seed. Beans are one of the crops that are the quickest to fruit. That if the proverbial fecal material hit the fan, you know, and you have to start thinking about providing your own food beyond what you've got stored. Beans are very quick to produce an actual edible product, okay? So they're one of the best things to have on hand as far as seed goes, even if you're not doing all of your gardening now. If you want to have a little bit of a seed bank in your freezer so that if you have to grow your own food, you can, and you have the resources, it really doesn't cost that much to set up seed. And they do store for a very long time. I have another video on seed storage techniques, and it'll give you the information on that if you need that data. So I decided to buy these 3 types of beans and test them out. And to do that, this photo, I took one of the trays that I used to serve people in and collect dirty dishes in and stuff, you know, when I had my bakery. And I laid 4 washcloths down in the bottom to retain the moisture. And then on this next photo, on the left-hand side, you can see the pinto beans with their Flor de Mayo. And in the center are the black beans, the negros. And on the right are the peruanos, the beans that we use most commonly here for refried beans. So I put them all down, and then I took an old piece of fabric that I had, some Winnie the Pooh flannel from making kids, our grandkids' pajamas way back when, who knows. Anyway, so I had this piece of fabric, and I folded it over, and I put it on top, and I kept it damp, more than moist, just not wet, not sopping, but I kept them moist for a few days. And this is what I got when I lifted up the lid. So you can see those seeds are definitely viable seeds. I mean, almost every single one of them sprouted. It was just amazing. Look at the black beans. You don't really see hardly any seeds in there that aren't sprouted. And these are I guess those are the pintos, and those are the local ones, the peruanos. And the peruanos had the least germination rate, and they're all germinated. They're just not quite as big as the other ones. So we went ahead and we let them grow for a couple more days underneath the cover, and then I took them outside and put them on my patio so that they could start, getting green and getting hardened off to the weather. We planted them as a test just to see if they would actually grow, and they did, and they were doing pretty well, actually. They got quite a bit beyond this photograph, but that's when we discovered that we didn't know it was a gopher, but plants started disappearing, and the lady that helps me in the house, she is the one that planted them. I don't plant like that in hills, but that's the way the tractors plant all the way around us, when they plant the corn, so that they can till in between when they're young. And so that's what she was following. So they did, as soon as it got really hot, being raised up like that to where their roots just got way too hot. And I think now, looking back on it, that our gopher had quite a bit to do with it as well. But the plants were healthy. They just either disappeared or shriveled up from the heat, one or the other. So that's where we went with that. But I was looking at the seeds, okay? For example, black bean seeds, to buy them, here's a picture of, black bean seeds that are available on Amazon, and they're 40 cents a piece per seed. Now I can get that whole big bag of black bean seeds for, okay, I actually went and looked up the prices. I so should have done that before we were talking. Okay, at any rate, black bean seeds, $11.99 for a packet of seeds, 40 cents a piece to buy them as seeds to plant, okay? Black bean seeds at Walmart, great value. An entire pound of them is $1.50 for a pound, okay? Then the next one I have the Mayocoba bean seeds, right? 80 seed pack is $8.98 or 11 cents per seed. Mayacobas for great value, Walmart, is $1.48. Okay. And then the pinto beans, right? The pinto beans are $2.99 for 22 seeds, which comes out to, I don't know why they figure it this way, but they do, $90.42 for 1 pound of pinto beans, okay? However, when you go to the grocery store and you buy a pound of pinto beans, it's $1. So What I did is when I was setting up my beans and rice for my pantry, I took 1 pound of each of the different types of beans that I found at the grocery store. Now, I didn't buy these all at once, obviously, but you know, beans are so inexpensive. They're most of the time I was spending between $5 and $10 a grocery shopping trip on buying something for my pantry. So if I was buying beans, I would buy like 3 bags of beans, depending upon the costs of them, you know, and I would try to get different varieties so that I could add them into my seed bank. And I did put some of them in my pantry, which I stored with oxygen absorbers in vacuum sealed bags inside paint buckets, you know, to keep them safe, to keep them in my bedroom, in my closet, so that it's, you know, nice and cool all the time, and no light gets to them and no insects or anything can get in. Oh, and in amongst all of the bags, I put in bay leaves because grain weevils and cockroaches and other terrible pests don't like bay leaves. That's an old thing that people used to do in their cupboards, you know, to keep vermin out of their cupboards. So I put bay leaves in there too. At any rate, for each one of these, when I bought some for my stock for cooking, I also bought one and I marked it on the bag as for seed. So I would not be foolish and end up using it, you know, as a temporary food instead of it being a food source. So I think that this experiment went very well. I really enjoyed the little, you know, bean plans and all. Now that we know that we have a gopher, we have to do everything in raised beds and with, right now I have all of my raised beds on cement slabs. But in the future, I may be putting down a piece of laminate underneath it, you know, like corrugated tin, a sheet of corrugated tin or something, and then put the bed on top of it to keep the gophers out, because I have a lot of land in the backyard. Well, not a lot of land. I have half an acre, you know, but there's nothing there. We just dug the first 3 holes for our fruit trees, our citrus trees. We have a mandarin orange, we have a Valencia orange, and we have a lime. And they've been living in pots and buckets and whatever, you know, for quite a while. My son bought them for me for Christmas year before last. And we've been afraid to put them in the ground because of the gophers. But we got a bunch of stainless steel chainmail bags to plant the trees and my bushes in so that the gophers can't get to the roots. And by the time the plants are large enough and well established enough to where the roots are coming out of the bag, we think that they'll be able to fend for themselves well enough. So my bougainvilleas and those 3 fruit trees and my mango tree can all go in the ground. So we're looking forward to that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and welcome back if you're returning, and welcome to family if it's the first time you're here. And I really appreciate it, and please give me a thumbs up, and a subscription would help the channel greatly. Alrighty, you have a blessed day. Toodles.